So then it's official, 2021 is going to bring us a brand new Aprilia V4 Tuono and Tuono factory. And being the proud owner of this 2018 bike, I thought I'd do a little bit of a comparison, just looking at what we can see from the specs and the new design so far. Now, Aprilia have only released a press release and a single image of the bike, so we're having to fill in a little bit of the gaps here, but we can definitely see that there's new technology in here, there's a new design in here as well, and there are some things that stay the same. So looking at the image, we can see that the entire design language now follows in line with the existing RS 660, which is hardly surprising and definitely a good thing, because that is one beautiful bike. But it's not just about the pretty face. There's a lot of innovation that's happened here. There's a lot of new technology in this bike, which is definitely worth talking about. But before we get too into the reads on that, it's really interesting to note how Aprilia now talk about the Tuono versus the RS V4. They're talking a lot about ergonomics, they're talking a lot about comfort, they're talking more about practicality, they're talking about pillion seats and luggage options and all that stuff. Could it be that Aprilia want this bike to soften up just a little bit? Are they trying to make this a bit more of a sports tourer, whereas the RS V4 is going to get the license to go nuts out on the track? And there are some numbers that point towards that as well. For example, the engine on the 2021 Aprilia V4 Tuono is not going to get a bump in horsepower. It's not going to get any changes in torque. The only thing that's going to be different is the fact that it's Euro 5 compliance, whereas the RS V4 is getting a slight cc boost, about 21 cc I think more, and taking it up to about 217 horsepower. Interesting. There's definitely a lot more clear water now between these two bikes. So let's break it down and talk about the Tuono and the Tuono factory. So it all starts at the front, where we have a brand new fairing on the 2021 bike. It looks a lot sharper, but also it brings in some new technology as well. This is all about a double-walled plastic fairing that allows air to get sucked through the unit. Then at speed, that adds to the downforce. And it does this without needing to add in those external kind of bolt-on style winglets, which I think a lot of people are going to be very happy about. It's important to note that the new fairing is also going to get a boosted windscreen as well, to keep the rider protected from the elements a little bit more. I've never had a massive problem with this windscreen. I quite like the fact it's quite naked, so you just get a wall of air rather than too much turbulence. So it'd be interesting to see how that performs. The new fairing also houses a brand new headlight system as well, which I think is a massive, massive welcome tick in the box. All LEDs, 3 LED bulbs, and they're also bendy LEDs as well. It takes this information from the all-new 6-axis IMU, so it knows how the bike is leaning, and it can adjust the lights accordingly. All very clever stuff. So all new up front in terms of looks and in terms of functionality as well, really. The TFT screen's also going to get an increase in size, and they also say that they've just reworked some of the user-friendliness of the control system, which also is going to be a very big bonus and plus point, because I still to date haven't entirely figured out how all this stuff works. At least I can't do it quickly. So making that more user-friendly would definitely be a welcome thing. So keeping in the lines of the talk about comfort and ergonomics, the handlebar is going to be a little bit higher. The fuel tank is also going to get completely resculpted as well. Again, that's all to add extra rider support. And you never know, when they've redesigned the fuel tank, they may even give us a fuel gauge. Fingers crossed. I personally don't care either way, but a lot of people get very upset about that. So slightly higher bars, slightly different tank, different fairing. Elsewhere, most of the frame is staying pretty much the same. As I said, the engine is staying the same apart from the Euro 5 changes, which will mainly manifest in the exhaust, so it's going to get a new exhaust system. I've obviously changed my exhaust on my bike. I've got the Akrapovic pipe and also the race ECU as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how much weight that Euro 5 exhaust adds to the bike and what Akrapovic bring in terms of aftermarket options as well. I've definitely noticed since putting the Acra on this bike that it runs a lot better. Certainly a lot noisier, but alongside that factory installed race ECU, it's a lot smoother as well, especially at low speeds, which is definitely welcome. Elsewhere, then moving towards the back of the bike, the seat's going to get changed, and they've also completely redesigned the passenger seats as well, which again is a massive plus point because it's unusable at the moment. It's pretty ridiculous. You know, I've never seen this bike really as a kind of passenger bike. I've taken the rear pegs off. I've blanked it off on one side with an R&G blank, and on the other side I've used an R&G exhaust hanger. It reduces a little bit of weight, and honestly I wouldn't put somebody through sitting on this seat. It's ridiculous. They're also talking about a luggage system as well. So it's going to have a pannier system, an asymmetrical pannier system that's built for the bike, so you could feasibly take the other half, go for a bit of a tour, take some luggage, have a little bit more comfort and protection up on this bike. Yeah, it's all sounding a little bit more sports tourer-like. Elsewhere then, so moving back, we've got a new swing arm, and this takes a lot of its technology from the world of MotoGP. It's now got an underslung brace, which allows the engineers to free up some of the weight, but it's also supposed to be a little bit stronger as well. I think the swing arm on this bike is an absolute work of art. Obviously haven't seen the new one in the flesh, so hopefully it looks as pretty as the outgoing one does. But you never know, you never know. It remains to be seen. Elsewhere, the electronics, they've been completely revamped as well. So we've got a new ECU, a new 6-axis IMU as well. Again, if it was me on my wish list, the one thing that a new ECU would bring would be slightly better fueling at lower speeds. Nobody's ridden this bike yet, so we don't know. It remains to be seen, but I definitely can't wait to get out and give it a try. So those are a few of the things that we know. Some things we don't know. So we don't know about weight. I'm imagining it will stay broadly the same. We may save a little bit of weight from things like the swing arm, but it'll be interesting to see how much weight the Euro 5 exhaust adds. So it may just balance itself out. We don't know about price yet as well, but this being a top shelf Aprilia, expect to have to dig pretty deep. And we also don't have total confirmation on release dates, although the rumour mill is saying kind of mid-summer time, so we'll have to see how that works out. But that's it. All in all, a new and interesting bike from Aprilia, definitely one that I'm going to be keeping an eye on. And I will take this bike out as well, because I haven't put anything up on YouTube really of this bike yet. So hit subscribe if you're interested in that bike and possibly a test ride on the new one when it becomes available. Until the next one, ride safe.